Yo, guess who's back? Yes, I'm finally getting around to making another video. It's been a while, maybe like a year and a half, and I have not shot a gun at all. So this weekend, I got to link up with Tactix Training Group, and Will, who is the guy who runs Tactix. He is a master pistol and rifle instructor from Sig Sauer. He also done some work for Surefire, and has also done some executive protection type work. He's a great teacher, always learn something new, work with the guy. I actually met him by chance a couple of years ago. We were just happened to be sharing a range together. He had his half, I had my half. We were just shooting. And then once I was done shooting, everybody at the range was like, yo, do you know who that guy is? He's a trainer. He works with emergency response teams, things like that. And I was like, all right, cool, bet. So I did take his basic pistol and rifle course, his basic pistol course this weekend. And the main reason for that was, one, he offers many courses. So you can do everything from the intermediate to the advanced course, low light shooting. He also does what's known as TAC Med, or tactical medicine, where you do gunshot wound trauma treatment, things like that, first aid basically. So there was that aspect. I was able to take his basic course, and now I can actually move up through the rest of his courses. But also the other reasons are, one, I haven't shot a gun in a very long time, like a year and a half. The other thing is I want to test out my gear and test out my skills, make sure I still had it. The other thing is you always learn something new. Whenever you're training with somebody, even if it's just a basic class you've been shooting for a while, they will always say something or reinforce some of those good habits, right? So with him, it's always good to learn something new, because I come from the competitive world. He comes from the more defensive / combat shooting world. Let's say defensive. And the mindsets are different, right? Yes, gun handling, gun safety is there, but everything you do around pulling the trigger, as far as your body mechanics, your thought patterns, those are all slightly different. So it's always great to take a course and do that. And also having an instructor behind you always corrects your bad habits. There's a lot of things that you may pick up that you obviously are not aware that you're doing, that having another person behind you who's a certified trainer, they will pick up those bad habits and help you to fix those problems. So that's the main reason why I wanted to take the basic beginner pistol course. So the first thing you see is my plate carrier. So a few years ago, I was training with the firearms instructor, and he is part of or at the time, he was part of the emergency response team, or the SWAT team, if you will. And he always said, you know, when you're going, especially through a course, and if it's a basic course, you don't know who you're going to be on the firing line with. It could be beginners, rookies. You don't know how squared away these people are, and then accidents do happen. So he always got my mind thinking about wearing a plate carrier when I'm doing courses. I don't use it very often, but if I am on the firing line with people who I don't know, then the plate carrier is a good move to have. As you see in the plate carrier, I've got the tourniquet for easy access, and then I got a small little pouch. That pouch is like a catch-all pouch. I stick everything in there, from rounds, ammunition, or shotgun shells, whatever I gotta pick up, just put away in a pocket for easy access. The second thing I carry is an IFAK, or individual first aid kit, for obvious reasons. Inside you got some chest seals, you've got another tourniquet, some shears, some gauze. I think an Israeli bandage is in there as well. Yes, it is an Israeli bandage in there. And you know, as I said, accidents do happen, so it's kind of cool to have a first aid kit ready and close by. Now the third thing is going to be my rig. My rig's very straightforward. It's a Red Hill tactical holster, and then the magazine holsters are from Ghost. They've been pretty beat up and worn in. I use those for my competition, but I find them fine for most firearm training courses so far that I've done. Now that may change as I advance and go through different courses, but for now my rig's pretty straightforward, pretty basic, and it works for me. And then obviously here's the gun. The gun is just a CZ Shadow 1, nothing fancy about it. Iron sights, straight from the store stock. And then the ammo that I use, most of it's going to be 147 grain bullets. Doesn't really matter what manufacturer it is. I'm not really that picky about my ammo. Usually just the weight at 147 grades, what I use for competition. And then the low foot-pounds per second, or feet per second power. That's pretty much it. So the core structure was pretty cool. You learned how to present the gun coming out of the holster and then present the gun safely in a safe direction. We shot mostly between 3 to 12 meters. We done some shooting on the move, so walking towards the target, walking away from the target, learning things like cadence, knowing that if you're close to the target, you can shoot a lot faster. And as you start to back up and make distance, you're going to slow it down a bit so you're still accurate in making your hits. We worked on reloads, both static and reloading while moving. Knowing the condition of your gun was very important. One thing that was really funny was if you got to the firing line and you didn't know the condition of your gun and you pulled the trigger and it went click, everybody's doing push-ups. It don't matter if it's your fault or the next guy's fault. So it really dialed in that accountability factor. So that was pretty cool. Then near the end of the class, we started shooting from concealment or just working with concealment, how close to get to it, how to not expose yourself or overexpose yourself. So that was pretty cool. And then one of my favorite drills was the target acquisition drill. So basically you have a bunch of targets, they're spread out as far as possible, but also they're labeled with different numbers. And then there's also a second set of numbers on each target. So he will say, shoot target number 3 on area 5, and then shoot target number 6 on area 2. So you gotta scan, find your target, shoot, scan, find your target, shoot again. It really keeps your mind thinking, keeps your mind sharp, and it makes you accountable for knowing you're 100% dead serious about when you find your target and if you're gonna pull that trigger. There's no mistakes. You're not gonna say, oh, I think that was the target. It's like, nah, you gotta be dead certain when you pull that trigger. So that was a really cool little part of the course. Now, my personal takeaways from the course were, 1, I need to practice more offhand shooting. Now, I haven't shot a gun in a whole year, as I said, but I still do a bit of dry fire. So dry firing both strong hand, weak hand, and reverse freestyle, which is what I said with hold the gun with your weak hand, then you bring your strong hand around to support. Do a little bit more of that. I find that by doing that drill, it subconsciously hammers home to grip the gun tighter, grip the gun tighter, grip the gun tighter. So yeah, your support hand stops slipping off. The other thing was working on malfunctions and going into slide lock. Now, coming from a competition shooting background, we don't really go into slide lock, right? You count your shots, you know when you're gonna do your reloads, you time it out during the course of fire. Now, every now and then something does go wrong and you may miscount, or you may have to make up a shot and it throws off your whole round count. Sometimes your gun will go to slide lock. So I'm speaking obviously for myself. I need to get more into the habit of when the gun goes in the slide lock, responding a bit faster and not being like, oh shit, and then trying to get the gun back into action. So that's something else I need to work on. Also, racking the slide from the back. Once again, sports shooter, competition shooter habits. Racking the gun from near the front or near the muzzle. Yes, there are serrations there, and yeah, you can do it. But as Will pointed out, what happens if you're panicked? What happens if you're in a oh shit situation? The last thing you want to do is have your hands too close to the muzzle of the gun messing about. So stick to the habits of when you're trying to rack that slide, rack it from the rear, get a good purchase on it in the back. So if anything does slip up goes wrong, your hand's not nowhere near that muzzle and you're keeping it safe. So that's one of the cool things about the defensive mindset that competitive shooters, or myself anyway, you know, little things that you overlook. And then also for the range day, muscle endurance, right? Just being able to stand up on the range for 6 to 8 hours and shoot a gun, going to different shot positions, things like that. I fared pretty well, and also considering I was wearing like a 10-pound weight vest, I was pretty good with it. But at the end, I did see some people's like backs and legs were hurting and things like that, just because they have been standing all day. So it's a good reminder to stay fit, stay active, and just stay out there, keeping your body as well tuned as you can, so you can do training like this and not be paying for it the next day.